Imagine waking up in a medieval town, where your neighbor's job is killing people for a living. Not in war, not in self-defense, but as a respected professional, whose services are essential to maintaining law and order. His children play with your children. His wife shops at the same market as yours. Yet everyone knows that when the church bells ring for an execution, he'll walk calmly to the scaffold and end someone's life with practiced efficiency. What was it like to live this contradiction? What did daily life look like for a medieval executioner when he wasn't wielding an axe or tightening a noose? The reality is far more complex and human than most people imagine. Medieval executioners weren't bloodthirsty monsters or social outcasts, living in isolation. They were skilled professionals who happened to work in the ultimate service industry, where customer satisfaction meant quick, clean death, and community approval required balancing justice with mercy. They lived ordinary lives interrupted by extraordinary duties, creating a unique existence that straddled the line between normalcy and the ultimate taboo. Medieval execution was a highly regulated profession, controlled by strict guild systems that governed everything from training requirements to fee structures. The Executioners Guild established standardized methods, maintained quality control, and protected members from competition by unauthorized practitioners. Becoming an executioner required formal apprenticeship, demonstrated competency, and often hereditary connections that provided access to the profession. Master executioners earned substantial incomes from their specialized services. Execution fees were set by municipal authorities and varied based on the method required, the social status of the condemned, and the complexity of the procedure. A simple hanging might earn the equivalent of a skilled craftsman's weekly wages, while more elaborate executions for noble criminals could provide income equivalent to several months of ordinary work. But here's what makes medieval executioners truly fascinating. Execution was only part of their job description. Most executioners worked as municipal employees with responsibilities that extended far beyond killing criminals. They served as torturers during judicial interrogations, operators of pillories and stocks for public punishment, and administrators of corporal punishments like whipping and branding. They maintained public execution equipment, supervised prison facilities, and sometimes served as bodyguards for judges and magistrates. The economic model of medieval execution created entrepreneurial opportunities that savvy executioners exploited to supplement their incomes. They sold pieces of rope used in hangings as good luck charms, collected fees for removing bodies after executions, and sometimes operated side businesses selling alleged healing potions made from executed criminals' blood or body parts. These macabre enterprises could be quite profitable, as medieval people believed that materials associated with violent death possessed magical properties. Many executioners operated as general contractors for municipal punishment services. They maintained workshops where they constructed gallows, stocks, and torture devices. They employed assistants who helped with executions and handled routine punishment duties. Some executioners owned property specifically used for judicial purposes, renting space to courts, and earning income from execution tourism that drew crowds from surrounding areas. A typical executioner's workday began long before any scheduled executions. Morning duties included inspecting equipment, sharpening blades, testing rope strength, and ensuring that all tools were properly maintained. Execution equipment required constant attention, because equipment failure during a public execution could turn a solemn judicial ceremony into a horrifying spectacle that undermined respect for law and order. The executioner's workshop was a specialized facility that combined elements of a blacksmith's forge, a carpenter's shop, and a medical facility. Different execution methods required different tools and preparation techniques. Beheading required perfectly balanced axes or swords that could sever a neck cleanly with a single blow. Hanging required ropes of specific thickness and length, calculated to ensure quick death without decapitation. Breaking on the wheel required specially constructed devices that could crush bones systematically while keeping the victim alive as long as possible. Executioners spent considerable time maintaining their professional knowledge through continuing education and peer consultation. They studied anatomy to understand how different wounds affected the body, learned about rope construction and metallurgy to ensure their equipment functioned properly, and shared techniques with colleagues to improve efficiency and reduce suffering. Guild meetings provided opportunities to discuss new methods, troubleshoot equipment problems, and coordinate responses to changing legal requirements. But the most psychologically challenging aspect of an executioner's daily routine involved preparing mentally for taking human life on a regular basis. Professional executioners developed psychological strategies that allowed them to function effectively while maintaining their emotional stability and social relationships. They viewed their work as essential public service, emphasizing their role in maintaining justice and protecting society from dangerous criminals. Many executioners adopted religious frameworks that justified their work as divine service. They believed that proper execution allowed condemned criminals to achieve salvation through accepting just punishment for their crimes. They participated in pre-execution religious ceremonies, encouraged condemned prisoners to confess and receive last rites, and sometimes provided spiritual comfort during final moments. This religious context helped executioners reconcile their deadly duties with their personal moral beliefs. The social position of medieval executioners created unique challenges and opportunities in their daily interactions with community members. While their profession inspired fear and revulsion, it also commanded respect and provided economic advantages that many craftsmen envied. Executioners often lived in better houses, owned more property, and enjoyed higher social status than their incomes alone would suggest. However, social isolation was a constant reality that shaped every aspect of an executioner's family life. Their children faced discrimination and limited marriage prospects. Their wives struggled with social exclusion and whispered gossip. Some communities prohibited executioners from participating in certain religious ceremonies or entering specific buildings. These restrictions created parallel social networks, where executioner families associated primarily with others in similar professions. Medieval executioners developed sophisticated techniques for managing their public image and maintaining community relationships. They participated in charitable activities, sponsored religious festivals, and provided emergency services during crises that demonstrated their value beyond their execution duties. Some executioners became respected community leaders who used their unique position to mediate disputes and provide counsel on legal matters. The hereditary nature of the executioner profession created family dynamics, unlike any other medieval occupation. Fathers trained sons in techniques for killing efficiently and humanely, teaching them to balance professional requirements with personal emotional survival. Mothers prepared daughters for lives of social isolation, while ensuring they understood the economic advantages their family's profession provided. Executioner families maintained detailed knowledge about human anatomy, pain management, and death processes that made them valuable medical consultants. Despite their grim reputation, some executioners operated unofficial medical practices, treating injuries and illnesses using knowledge gained from their professional experience with human bodies. They understood how different wounds healed, which injuries were fatal, and how to minimize pain during medical procedures. Training new executioners required years of apprenticeship that combined technical skill development with psychological preparation for a lifetime of killing. Master executioners taught apprentices to sharpen blades properly, calculate rope lengths accurately, and position victims correctly for different execution methods. They also provided guidance on managing the emotional challenges of the profession and maintaining family relationships despite social isolation. The most skilled executioners developed reputations that extended far beyond their local communities. Renowned practitioners traveled between cities to handle especially important executions, commanded premium fees for their services, and sometimes received requests from foreign courts seeking their expertise. These master executioners became celebrities within their profession, with techniques and innovations that influenced execution practices across medieval Europe. Equipment maintenance represented a significant portion of daily executioner activities. Axes and swords required constant sharpening and balancing to ensure clean cuts that minimized suffering. Ropes needed regular inspection for wear and proper treatment to maintain strength and flexibility. Torture devices required lubrication, adjustment, and repair to function properly during judicial interrogations. This technical expertise made executioners valuable craftsmen, whose skills extended far beyond their primary profession. Medieval executioners also served as expert witnesses in legal proceedings involving violent crimes. Their professional knowledge about wounds, weapons, and death processes made them valuable consultants for judges, determining guilt, appropriate punishments, and compensation for victims' families. Some executioners developed side careers as forensic experts who examined crime scenes and provided testimony about criminal techniques and victim injuries. The relationship between executioners and condemned prisoners required delicate psychological management that began days or weeks before scheduled executions. Professional executioners understood that cooperative prisoners created smoother execution procedures and better public spectacles. They provided comfort, answered questions about the execution process, and sometimes granted final requests that eased prisoners' anxiety and demonstrated the executioner's humanity. Many executioners developed personal relationships with regular customers in the criminal justice system. They worked closely with judges, jailers, and court officials who appreciated efficient, professional service that enhanced the dignity of judicial proceedings. These professional relationships often extended into personal friendships that provided social connections outside the executioner's immediate family circle. Public execution days required elaborate preparation that transformed executioners from private individuals into public performers. They dressed in professional attire that commanded respect while remaining practical for their duties. They supervised crowd control, managed timing of ceremonies, and ensured that executions proceeded smoothly despite the emotional intensity and potential for public disorder. The psychological toll of regular killing affected different executioners in various ways. Some developed alcohol dependencies that helped them cope with the emotional stress of their profession. Others became deeply religious, seeking spiritual comfort and divine forgiveness for their role in taking human life. A few executioners experienced mental breakdowns that ended their careers and sometimes led to suicide or violent behavior. But many medieval executioners lived long, successful lives that balanced professional duties with family happiness and community respect. They found meaning in their work through religious frameworks, professional pride, and the recognition that their services protected society from dangerous criminals. They raised children who respected their father's profession while choosing different career paths, and they maintained marriages that provided emotional support despite social challenges. Medieval execution practices established precedents for modern criminal justice systems that continue to influence contemporary debates about capital punishment. The emphasis on professional competence, humane execution methods, and public accountability that characterized medieval executioner guilds evolved directly into modern standards for judicial killing. The recognition that execution required specialized training and psychological support for practitioners remains relevant for contemporary death penalty administration. The social isolation experienced by medieval executioner families mirrors contemporary challenges faced by professionals in controversial occupations. Their strategies for managing public perception, maintaining family relationships, and finding meaning in socially problematic work provide insights relevant for modern workers in law enforcement, military service, and other professions that require violence or risk. Most importantly, medieval executioners demonstrated that humans can adapt to almost any role society requires while maintaining their essential humanity. They proved that even the most extreme professional demands can be managed through proper training, social support, and psychological frameworks that provide meaning and justification for necessary but unpleasant work. So what did a medieval executioner's daily life look like? It was a carefully balanced existence that combined routine domestic activities with the ultimate professional responsibility. They were skilled craftsmen, public servants, and family men who happened to specialize in the precise, efficient taking of human life. They lived ordinary lives interrupted by extraordinary duties, creating a unique existence that required constant navigation between social acceptance and professional necessity. The next time you consider the complexity of modern professional ethics, or wonder how people adapt to difficult occupations, remember the medieval executioner who sharpened his axe each morning, played with his children each evening, and stood ready to serve justice whenever society demanded his unique and terrible skills. If you enjoy the hidden sides of medieval life, hit subscribe and give this video a like.